Star Wars 7x7 episode 2877. So we were talking earlier this week about getting some new insights about the movies and that things may not be going the way that they had been planned, that we had been told up until this point. Things change, it's okay. So we're going to reset a little bit because there's been more information released about that. Punch it. Hey Rebel Rouser, I'm Alan Voivod and this is Star Wars 7x7, your daily dose of Star Wars joy, and thank you so much for joining me for it. So we were talking about a magazine cover story that came out this week and the fact that in that cover story there was a switch that was, I guess, soft announced, if you will. So we've been operating under the presumption that Rogue Squadron, the movie by Patty Jenkins, would be coming out in December of 2023, and that had been the case at least as far as April when the last release calendar had come out from Disney, but it doesn't seem like that's actually happening this way. The original cover story article talked about how maybe Taika Waititi's movie was coming first and Patty Jenkins would come after that, and Kevin Feige's was, possibly somewhere in the ether, and then Rian Johnson's trilogy was quote-unquote backburnered. Well, now we have a little bit more detail in that regard, and it seems to have something to do with Star Wars Celebration as well. But let's get specific about the movies first. So apparently, according to an interview with Kathleen Kennedy, there is a roadmap. There is a central spine of something upon which Lucasfilm is working. And Taika Waititi's movie, which is being scripted by Krysty Wilson-Cairns, I think actually they're both working on the script, but be that as it may, that movie, apparently according to Kathleen Kennedy, fits more directly onto that roadmap, onto that central spine. And I guess from the initial announcement when it came out at the Disney Investor Day, this would have been back in 2020, I felt like that was almost a standalone movie, like it was his own kind of thing with his own kind of sensibility, but apparently that is not the case. And then Patty Jenkins' movie has been pushed off to the side, according to this interview, and that Patty is reworking the script. And once that's done, they will revisit where it fits into this whole roadmap / central spine of things. And then we get to the Kevin Feige thing, which is being written by Michael Waldron. So this is where we find where the time lapse situation happens. There's a moment in the main cover story where, there's a conversation about stepping onto the volume, and it takes place in March of this year. And obviously we're not getting any of these, cover stories and interviews until May, 2 months later. So at the time that the interview was conducted, we find out that Kathleen Kennedy was saying, yeah, there's not necessarily anything on the horizon right now, but later on, we find out there's a story in Variety where Michael Waldron said that they are into the script in earnest. They're actually working on it. And it's been a while since we've heard where the Taika Waititi, Krysty Wilson-Cairns script is, but I think that was, I want to say it was July of last year where they were at the exterior space level of things. So in theory, maybe that script is done, possibly? Wouldn't that be something? I think that would be pretty remarkable if they're just getting started with the script for Kevin Feige's / Michael Waldron's Star Wars. Yeah, that is definitely a ways out from now, and certainly not necessarily closer than Patty Jenkins's movie. If she's just reworking the script, then that's likely to come sooner, you would think. And as far as the Rian Johnson thing, so the cover story just had the briefest backburnered thing and said that, hey, he's really busy with Knives Out and with his Netflix deal. But the one-on-one interview digs into that further. And if you have had any doubt, I mean, even I who've been rooting for Rian Johnson and hoping that the trilogy that was announced would actually someday get made, with the lack of information about it and the lack of confirmation, if you will, it's easy to kind of have doubts, but I feel like this really has put it to bed. So I'm going to read you the quote from the story. Kathleen Kennedy says that She's had meetings with Rian. He's somebody that's come in as part of our little brain trust discussions along the way. He remains very committed to what it is we're trying to do. He just literally hasn't had the time to devote. That's what I'm saying. Anyone who comes into the Star Wars universe needs to know that it's a 3, 4, 5-year commitment. That's what it takes. You can't step in for a year and shoot something and then walk away. It just doesn't work that way. So it requires that kind of nurturing. So to me, at least, that feels like the biggest vote of confidence that we could possibly have had. Kathleen Kennedy confirming that Rian Johnson is still involved with Lucasfilm, still having regular conversations with them, part of the brain trust of what they're trying to do. Like, presumably that refers to this roadmap, this central spine that she was referring to, that Taika Waititi's movie is fitting in on, and Patty Jenkins' movie is fitting on. Yeah, that sounds like it's about as exciting a confirmation as we could possibly have hoped for under the circumstances. And the last thing I want to share for today's episode, which is the thing that ties into Celebration, is that Kathleen Kennedy gets asked if there's anything else on the film side of things that she's going to talk about, and her response is, we'll probably get a little bit more specific in a couple of months. And I'll just remind you that this interview was conducted in about mid-March, and here we are a couple of months later, and Star Wars Celebration is about to happen. So if there's any time that they're going to do something like that, that would be it, and that would be the audience for whom it would be, best delivered and most deserving of it, if I dare say. So there you go. That's what I have for you on a full movies update from Kathleen Kennedy herself, and that is going to do it for this episode of the show. It just remains for me to say thank you so much for joining me for it, as always, and may the Force be with you wherever in the world you may be.
7 is not endorsed or sponsored yet by Lucasfilm Limited, Disney, or 20th Century Fox, and is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Star Wars, the Star Wars logo, all names and pictures of Star Wars characters, vehicles, and any other Star Wars related items are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of Lucasfilm Limited, or their respective trademark and copyright holders. May the Force be with them. All original content is copyright 2021 by Star Wars 7x7. We hope you love it.